Greetings everyone, all freedom lovers out there. As we say in Sweden, a good continuation, god fortsättning. Wish you the best for the year to come. And freedom lovers, you know, loving freedom does not mean doing things stupidly and being crazy. It means to use your responsibility to the maximum, and that is all dependent on every individual and the capacity and how much that individual has burst out of the eggshell that is created in everything that surrounds us. And one thing especially which is responsible for everything, and sometimes I ask people this, like, what is it that grows every year in every country? It just grows, and it needs more food, more nutrition, more money. And it doesn't get stronger, it just gets kind of like soggier and weaker and blobbier and dumber and more wasteful. What is that? Everywhere in every country. Doesn't matter what region, race, religion, I don't know. Everywhere. It's self-answered kind of. It's the government. That's the thing. And people will keep on feeding that machine. And you can do some information, some talking. Some people are thinking they can vote for something further to the right or to the left or libertarian. And by that means kind of ease it up a bit. But, you know, it ultimately has to go in a sense. And it's rarely talked about, even among, let's say, alternative truther media outlets and so on. Some of them mention you-know-whos. But it's never really a talk about actually, you know, how can you practically, in your life, as much as possible, defund the monster machine. So what people sometimes do is that they see things all or nothing. Well, here's my challenge for everyone out there listening or watching. Take 2%, 5%, or if you're really bold, 10% of all the transactions you will do this year and make them on the free market. And you figure out what that means. And the tools for that are, well, cash of course, but that's also centrally controlled, and certain cryptos, of course, Monero, which is private by default, which is digital cash and not connected to any centralized organ. You know, further down the road we will have government issued cryptocurrencies. And what will happen, what is already happening in China, and this was predicted years ago by the great Scotsman who lived in Canada, Alan Watt. Not Alan Watts, they're two different people. Alan Watt. He passed away 2 years ago, almost exactly to the date. It was in February, so maybe a month from now, 2 years ago. Well, back in like 2007 he talked about the future of the control system, how people will get their paycheck, their money, and it will all be kind of digital, and you will have a expiry date for that income you have. So you get your salary, and then you have, let's say, 2 years to spend that salary, or 1 year. And by then it wasn't technologically feasible to apply that. But as of this year, it's already happening in China. So what they will see is that people will no longer be able to gather and collect and save money as we used to. And this is in the most world, you know, further down the road. But China is the pioneering country because their monster system, the hungry monster, we have to stop feeding by basically giving it as less money we can, and kind of, yeah, never mind. Yeah, so everything is tried out there, and many of the technological companies are there working and collaborating and bringing back that technology, because during the last 2 years of the shutdowns and the fast implementation of the control system, you know, that is still in place and developing. However, the kind of sniffle craziness is gone, in a sense, so we might be enjoying our first year without any restrictions, or far less, depending on where you live. But what was implemented at that time will be further implemented, and now kind of in a silent manner, because the QR code society is exactly that, social credit scores. You know, like in China, you know, if you've been a bad boy, you can't buy a train ticket. I just wanted to have this beautiful little lake. Pond, sorry, it's a pond. We don't have any winter here. It's been gray and rainy for over a month. Today's kind of gray and chilly. So anyway, you know, in China, I don't have to explain. Social credit score. You can't do certain things because you have to be a good guy, just as we had it here in Europe. Just recently, just last year, you had to have a certain kind of certification for penetration with some strange foreign fluid put in your body. You have to show that you had that, if you had it. Hopefully you're smart and didn't get that. So that's where we're heading towards to. And this video, by the way, of course, is one of my annual traditions, like you know, beyond 2023, where I just kind of take a moment and ramble on about what I think and see the year being about. Sometimes more in a, you know, out there general way, sometimes more on a personal level. So I started with this because it's the elephant in the room. It's the monster that every year needs more nutrition, money from you guys, from us, for a less, how do you say, for declining service. And what this monster does, the government, they create problems and issues to make you dependent upon them. I mean, a government can basically ruin the healthcare to be always in this perpetual mode of like, we must improve the healthcare or something. It can be education, what have you. Like in Sweden, the Swedish police and military is pretty advanced. Sweden is one of the most technological countries in the world. Everything is surveilled, or could be. Yet there are criminals running around and shooting and blasting off bombs like nowhere else in Europe, perhaps in the world right now, even in the capital. And I said this years ago, you know, it would spread from the kind of suburbs to the city cores, you know, like the capital of Stockholm. Someone allows this to happen, you know. It's not something that evolves naturally. I mean, if things were beyond the control, people wouldn't be financing the monster, right? Exactly. So people would be doing what they want to do, and the power at B wouldn't be able to control people. Same thing here, but they are allowing that to happen. A few months ago, there was like a couple of spies, like a man and a woman, allegedly. I don't know, it could be fake, totally fake, but just going by the mainstream headlines, They were captured in a helicopter siege with special forces entering their home and all that. But they can't do that for these criminal gangs, you know. And just like everything else that the government kind of lets, that it allows to get good, it kind of lets or actively destroys or keep at the, you know, neither good neither bad level. And all the parasites that people vote for, you know, they can offer their solution to that, but nothing ever happens, nothing ever changes, you see. And people cannot let go. I mean, most people would agree with what I'm saying right now, but 98% of them will go vote next time and hope it's the right guy, it's the right party. You're just legitimizing that nothing gets done, and, you know, they rip you off. Nothing needs to be radical, people. Nothing needs to be radical. Start with yourself. Stop thinking about people waking up or big changes. Start with yourself. Spread it, you know, where you are, how you can do it. So that's my challenge for you. If you agree with me, and I'm not about any radical crazy thing, just do it with the most important means humans have created. Some sort of currency. 2, 5 or 10%. Set your goal. Make the yearly transactions you have. Like, let's say you spend $100 a year, you know, living. Okay, that's nothing, but just for the mathematics here, like, make $2, $5 or $10 of that be on the free market between you and the person selling you something or offering you that service, and nobody else. Yeah, so on a more personal level, you know, things are good. I'm pretty, you know, happy and vibrant despite living in this gray world for over a month and a half. I remember the last sunny day. I have photographs from that day. It was, you know, tad bit snow, so the children were outside and playing, and I was like going outside, just walking and taking photographs. So anyway, I'm feeling pretty good. All is well, and I think this year, for anyone who's interested in kind of like what's going on, don't get stuck in the kind of, you know, clickbait stuff like insects and, you know, this and that. Like, go read the fine prints, see what's up really, you know. If you're interested in crypto, see the next regulations which are coming. Try to actively, practically do something to be able to feed the monster less than you did last year. If you can do that, and if I can do that, you know, better than last year, we've done a great job. We can teach somebody else who's interesting, and that's all we can do. All this brainwashed thing about the savior, the prophets and everything from movies, from all that, that's why people are so stuck up that everything has to happen now and half of the population has to be on board with it. No, start with yourself. Be the individualistic character that you are, you know. So that's kind of my take on it. Of course, we have a collective consciousness, we have a collective system, we have roads and the things we have collectively, but please, you know, that won't just go away. We're talking about doing something, and it's no longer, let's say, like when you listen to somebody from the 60s or 70s when they were young and they perhaps were of the same kind of wired brain as we are. I mean, today the control grid is really perfected. It's perfection. I mean, like in Sweden, anything you call or need to do, you're the social security number, you know, everybody asks you about your number. That hasn't come to all countries. I mean, the less digitalized the country is, the more they ask for your name. But at the same time, the more paperwork you have to do. So it's like a what's it said? It's not conformity. Yeah, comfortable thing to be surveilled and to become a number, because everything just goes smoother. Being a name and having to go and sign papers and get the stamps and all that takes more time, but at the same time you are you, as we are, you know. I guess some of you know about the thing about, you know, being a person, being a number, and being you as a human being. Some people apply for these passports. What was it called now? The common law and all that. So anyway, yeah, as I see it, and with the people I talk about this, we kind of know what's going on. We see the direction. We have done our homework. We know what we can do and where we can actually look for to get more practical and distinct, you know, like spending maybe 2 days online just reading up on what you already know. And, you know, it's good for a while perhaps, but people need to start learning about how to interact with the oncoming, I mean even deeper oncoming surveillance and such. So if you take my challenge for this year to spend more on the free market, well, how can you do that? Well, of course, use cash, swap things, services, privacy by default, cryptos. Well, how do you use crypto? Do you know about it? Do you know how a wallet works? I mean, it's the future. Sometimes I actually ask IT people from various places, some who are working in California, traveling, and, you know, like about their crypto interest. Not so much to hear what they have to say, but just to see, like, oh, have they learned about it yet? Because they work with IT and computers. You kind of can't miss it. But many actually are not into it. They really don't know how it works. And why is that a good thing? Well, it's not really that spread out as it will be one day. Of course, with the government issued blockchain means of exchange, you know, that will come to the people, but the more freedom-loving side of it will also spread out even more. So that market is really, really small still. I mean, the usage of it, even if you take like 10 years ahead, it will be a big thing. That's why I'm really pro about learning children about their rights when it comes to data collection, biometric data, and how to use various means for exchange. You know, children today, like in countries like Sweden, which is you know, which has eliminated cash almost, people don't even know how it looks. So let's say you're in a nice place in the summer and there's a teenager or, you know, young adult working there, and you pay for your ice cream. Let's say it costs 51 crowns and you give them 101 crown. They will really start to scratch their head about the 1 crown you gave them, because they don't understand that you want a 50 bill in return if they have one. So yeah, let's all get educated. Let's all get more physically active. Let's all get more artistic, and let's all together, because if I do my 2, 5 or 10% of more free market this year, and you do yours, and maybe 10 other people watching this, you know, we have done a great job by next year. That's something. And what can I say? All the things we talk about, all the restriction, all that's been going on is because of, and all the media and everything is because of the hungry, lazy, big fat monster called the government, which every year needs more money, more nutrition, it wants more control, it does the less for the same amount of money every year, and so on and so on. Stop feeding it. It's simple as that. Start to stop feeding it. You know, you can't just go the next day and reset it all. So you know, they want the reset, let's give them one, let's start. So pick your choice, count the transaction you did last year, I don't know, do 2, 5 or 10% of everything this year cash directly between you, as free markets were intended to be, between humans. Yeah. And what else? Well, yeah, spring. I'm really longing for spring, to get out somewhere hiking and all that, get more into nature. It's not really that fun to be in a rainy forest on gray days sometimes, but yeah. So with that said, and with this year's version of the Beyond video, thank you for watching and all the best.